Hello, and welcome to First Flight Week at UNT. The Learning Center is here to support you with all your academic needs, with multiple workshops and support services like academic coaching, supplemental instruction, and tutoring. In this presentation, you will get a taste of one of our academic support services as we explore grad school prep. Let's get started.
Grad school may be years away, but there are steps you can start taking now if you think there's even a chance that you'll want to go in the future. These are steps that also just make you a better engaged student in general, so there's no harm done if you ultimately decide grad school isn't for you. You first want to take a look at your what. For example, what degree do you want to pursue? Are you looking into a PhD, an MBA, MS, MA, JD, MD? This is just a short list of the many degrees available, so it's important to thoroughly do your research and figure out what degree is going to be best for you and your goals. You may want to check out the educational history of any instructors who specialize in your field. You can do that using the faculty profile system at facultyinfo.unt.edu. You'll also want to consider what research, if any, you're interested in pursuing once you go to grad school. As we will discuss later, research is a huge part of many graduate degrees, so if this is something you have never considered before and the degree or career you're pursuing requires it, I would highly encourage you to sit down and devote some time to researching what this may look like for your specific track. It will seem tedious and you may become a little bit overwhelmed, but remember that you cannot start the process of applying for graduate school without knowing what you're getting into. You'll want to also consider what schools you are looking to apply to. The important part about conducting this research is figuring out what individual things each school is looking for and assessing if those things match what you want. Something that students tend to forget is that applying for graduate school is just as much you trying to impress them as it is them trying to impress you. Why? Well, at the end of the day, there's prestige and monetary value that's tied to higher education, so graduate programs also do their part in selling what they can offer to potential students. When their programs are sought after, their stock goes up too. Once you've narrowed down your search, figure out what programs within the university you're most interested in. I also want to preface that some career paths will lead you to follow research rather than a certain university. For example, you may be interested in neuropsychology research, but there is not specialized research being done in the grad school you initially had your eye on. So, what do? Figure out what professors around the nation are specializing in the neuropsychology research you're interested in and follow them to the institution they're working at. Consider this: will you be able to afford grad school? The reality is that grad school is generally more expensive than your undergrad, and loans are more likely to come with immediate interest payments. I don't say this to discourage you, but I want to make sure you are fully aware of the financial aspect of a postgraduate degree. However, there are options when it comes to paying for grad school. Just like undergrad, there are all types of financial assistance, such as grants, scholarships, and loans. There are some graduate programs and tracks that will help pay for your education through either grants or stipends. These can often be few and far between, but it's worth doing the research to determine which ones do this. More often than not, financial assistance comes in the form of stipends and will be attached to a PhD program in which a department you work for can provide those funds. In other words, it's highly subjective to the career, the degree, the school, the program, and the research team. But don't fret, if you have a goal of going to grad school, look at the avenues that can help you financially and just go from there. You'll also want to consider whether or not you are willing to study out of state. Why? Well, just like undergrad, out-of-state tuition and fees applies, and this can be even more financially burdensome for some students and requires more planning. So basically, the question to ask yourself is, have you done your research? If not, the fix is easy. Simply sit down and find some time to truly delve into the world of grad school and what that may look like for you. Once you've considered your what and done some research on that, you'll want to look at your why. Are you considering grad school because it's a requirement for the career that you desire? Or are you doing it for the prestige? What about the money? These are all crucial questions to ask yourself. The last thing you want to do is enroll in grad school for the wrong reasons and find yourself paying for a degree you don't want and may not use. These are a few things that you will need. You should have some sort of relevant experience to your field. A good example of this is a psychology student who wants to enter a PhD program. They may want to consider doing research with a professor, since that is a large part of the admissions considerations for those kinds of programs. This also helps with those relevant connections for recommendations. You will also need strong academics, including a solid GPA. Many programs have prerequisite courses, so it's important to chat with your academic advisor about your potential future, so they can help make sure you're not only taking the classes you need to graduate, but the classes you'll need for a graduate program. Let's talk a little more about needing that relevant experience. You want to try to get involved in your field as soon as possible. Some of the ways that you can get involved is by joining a student organization and being an active member. I can't stress enough how important it is to be active in whatever org you join. It could open up doors for leadership opportunities, and it can connect you to people who are either already in the field or in the process of trying to get in the field, and networking is a crucial part of adulting. You might also want to consider joining a service organization. Volunteering in a position related to your future career path can allow you to gain some of that basic experience that will look really good to an admissions committee. Even if it's not directly related to your field, it can help make you a better rounded candidate who demonstrates a commitment to their community and obvious time management skills. You could also consider studying abroad. This looks great for many reasons, but the biggest takeaway is your personal experience. You will gain a new perspective and learn an array of cultural elements that can make you an even better candidate. If you're worried about the cost for this sort of thing, there are scholarships galore, you just have to apply. You should also talk to your professors for ideas and advice. They were once in your position and know what it feels like and what works. This is why office hours, so often overlooked by undergrads, can be your very best friend. Building relationships will be your most helpful resource. Networking is one of the best ways to have an in on many jobs and graduate programs. Otherwise, platforms like LinkedIn would not exist. I know it can be pretty intimidating to talk to your professors in office hours or during class, but this is something you should work on because professors are key connections that can give you advice, guidance, and maybe even write you a letter of recommendation. If that kind of thing scares you, check out our guide for getting the most out of attending office hours to help you prepare. You can get it from any of our academic coaches or at learningcenter.unt.edu/learning101. Make sure you actively participate in class. Many professors won't write a letter for just anyone, and you need them to remember you. A vague recommendation is almost as bad as an admonishing one. And you do not want to wait until the last minute to build these relationships. It is extremely obvious to professors when a student is trying to get a letter of recommendation out of them in a time crunch, so don't be that person. All graduate schools will certainly be interested in your experience in that field. If you have research experience before going to grad school, you'll become acquainted with the research process. You'll stand out against other applicants, and you'll build skills, knowledge, and experience in your field. Check out research opportunities available on campus at undergradresearch.unt.edu. But remember, the best thing to do is talk to your professors because these are the people who are conducting and leading research, and they like to staff projects with people they know and trust. Another way to gain experience is through internships and work experience. You'll build your professional network and have another way to get great letters of recommendation. A main bonus is the real-life experience in your chosen field, valuable regardless of any grad school application. Check out Career Center services to make you a better job and internship candidate, as well as get a heads up for open positions. Their website is studentaffairs.unt.edu/career-center. Remember to try and keep an open mind, because you might plan to go to grad school for one thing and end up changing your mind after exploring programs and learning more about yourself. You don't need to lock in your future right now, but you do need to start thinking about it and taking intentional steps towards what you think you want to do. It is also really important to have as strong a GPA as you possibly can. Grad applications are generally considered holistically, but a high GPA can never hurt. Make sure you use services like the free tutoring offered across campus, academic coaching, and supplemental instruction. When you're further along in your undergraduate career, towards the end of sophomore year, you may also want to start checking out these other services too. We even have a GRE prep class available online and in person. This is a really popular service with our students, so keep it in mind if you'll need to take this exam. And don't worry, if you don't know if you need it, that's where the Getting Into Grad School workshop comes in.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out our website at learningcenter.unt.edu for more information and follow us on social media to get the latest updates. Again, welcome to UNT and go Mean Green!